Hey everyone, this is Jesse, and we're playing Value Vintage today, a format that follows the vintage ban list with a $30 budget limit. Today I'll be playing through a league, 5 unknown decks emulating your normal Magic Online league. These players came from the Value Vintage Discord and are taking decks that they would consider for 1Ks. You can find a link to the Discord in the description. They share local events while also hosting online tournaments. The deck that I'm running this league is Affinity. I've had this list built in paper for almost a year now, and it's a great entry point for newer players or fans of the archetype. Despite the budget restrictions, this deck features various key pieces to traditional Affinity lists of old with cards like Ornithopter, Springleaf Drum, and Cranial Plating, while also bringing new additions in Thought Monitor and Kappa Cannoneer. It also featured some of the modern ban lists with the full sets of artifact lands. The major changes come from the top dollar cards. Mox Opal, especially with the recent unbanning, is definitely out of budget. Surprisingly, Memnites also carry a price tag that creates a challenge to include in the deck. Our lands also aren't able to be supported by Blink Moth and Ink Moth Nexus or Urza Saga. One positive is that the lands are replaced by our 8 artifact lands. The remaining core is completed by 2 cards from the Modern Horizons 3 set, Ethereum Terramander and Refurbished Familiar. Terramander is able to apply heavy early game pressure with minimal investment simply by continuing our game plan. Familiar, while arguably the weakest card in the deck, has applications as not only a cheap flyer, but a cheap card advantage piece as well. It can also interact with Energy Field before a Rest in Peace hits the battlefield, when we also get a Soul Ring. The sideboard features broad generic answers to various problems. Duress grabs removal, sweepers, and key combo pieces. Etch Champion is a sticky threat for control decks that can also constantly battle for the initiative. Soul Guide Lantern is our staple graveyard interaction piece. And Spell Pierce ensures that we can interact with combo and control players on the stack. If you're looking for Value Vintage content, please consider liking the video and following the account, and let's get into the games. Alright, we are starting off against Hadel. He's normally playing a lot of Cascade stuff recently, but also known for like some dredge things. His hand's kind of slow, but 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm just gonna mulligan just because it is kind of heavy lands. It's really questionable. If these were like a different threat, it'd be really good, but it's just a little too slow. This hand's much better. This hand's much, much better. We are going to keep this, and we're going to bottom this Thought Monitor, just so that way we have a really strong threat in Kappa Cannoneer if we can top deck a blue source. We're also 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would be 2 mana off this Terramander. We'll go Ornithopter. Ornithopter, Terramander, Frogmite, go. So if he island, so Borderpost. Okay, so he's been working on this Restore Balance in Balance list with like Greater Gargadon. I think just casting at the Shardless. So, okay, so Seat. So that's 2 mana. I think we're taking a turn off. I'm not sure if they play if he plays any Spirit Guides, but we can at least get this Cannoneer out. And then next turn we have access to grow the Terramander. So we have a good string of threats in play. Unfortunately, we might only have like 1 more turn, so I'm trying to think. I think it plays Minsenbu also. So there is a chance that I think at this point, like the thing that beats us is if we get balanced. There's not much we can do if he wipes the board. We could try to come back from different threat, but. Alright, I don't want to actually play this vault just because I want to keep it in case he does go for. Uh-oh. We got a little bit of a misplay somewhere. Oh, a bit of misplay by me too. I should have played the land, the grow, the kappa by 1. It might actually have been correct too, just in case we do get balance wiped here to keep the land. It's tough to say. This deck's kind of unusual. I'm not really used to even playing against something like it in most formats. Right, so we got there that game. Alright, so I think we want these spell pierces. Just because we want to be able to counter the balance spell off the shardless. I don't think the duress will help because while it would hit something like Violent Outburst, it misses shardless, so it misses half of that combo piece there. I don't think he'll have a lot of spot removal for these Etch champions to be good, and I don't think these Soul Guide laners are going to do very much here. So with that, Refurbish Familiar is pretty much the weakest card here. We'll just cut these. I think we'll send it like this. A bit of a slower hand. Let me do some math here real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do get another draw, so we don't have a spell pierce. It's kind of questionable. Did he? Okay, so he mulliganed. So we go 1. We have nothing on 1. I think we have to mulligan. We're not really doing anything crazy early on. Okay, we have a Soul Ring. This hand has to be busted, and a spell pierce, so we're gonna keep this. I'm actually going to bottom one of these seats, I think. I don't think we'll need the black mana for Cranial this game, so maybe it's just the bridge. We did board out our Refurbish, so the only thing we would need black mana for is Terramander. So, okay, Borderpost. Right, so we will go Seat, Soul Ring, Cranial Plating. So, not a bad start. There's another Borderpost. Alright, so cast the Frogmite for free. So we're up to 5 now, so this is 2 mana. And then we'll just attach here. We'll put it on the... So if he goes shardless, it doesn't really matter because he wipes from my board. So I think we're just going to put it on the companion. I don't think it matters too much, but I think the companion's the least likely thing to get removed at this point. So despite mulligans, we've had some pretty strong starting hands this match. Right, Borderpost. Right, Greater Garganon. So I believe that's Suspend 9 or Suspend 10. Kappa's a pretty good draw. So is there a way that I can do this? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll do it like this, even though we miss out on a trigger for Cannoneer. And then we can tap this. And then use the mana here. I think this is actually a slip up here. just because I have the Spell Pierce in hand. Yeah, I probably should have just tapped the Frogmite now that I'm thinking about it. If we get bounced here, it's really bad. A little bit of tunnel vision on the Kappa Cannoneer there. So what are we dealing with here from their list? So they do have Spirit Guides, Brain Surges, Dead and Gones. Oh, that's a bummer. It's not like we're totally out of the woods because we still have a Cranial Soaring and a Seat of the Synod, so we're still getting to play a little bit. So 1 mana off that. Yeah, that's a bit awkward. Hopefully the Spell Pierce gets some sort of value here soon. Okay, this is probably the most value it's going to get this match. So once again, a lot of really good draws. That is probably the worst one in the deck. How much is this suspended for now? So it's got 7 time counters now. 1, 2, 3. Some people play a Ginger Brute in their Affinity list. I don't personally like it just because it you obviously can't play Urza Saga, so it loses some value there. Yep. Alright, so Ornithopter's live. That might be one of the best draws, actually, because it's going to turn on the Thought Monitor. So a Vault here would also be good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could cycle for a Black Source, but I think we just find the Companion, or we just cast the Companion, because now we're gonna put them in a. He really needs to draw something to clear out these flyers, because a Cranial Plating on either one is lethal. Is this a Mince and Boo? No, it's a land. Okay, cycle. So another Shardless here. It actually doesn't quite get him there because we'll be able to keep one of the flyers. I brought a Mystical Dispute in. So that was a good match. I was a little nervous about that misplay for the balance, but the one nice thing about the deck is that it has so many of the divination effects with the Affinity, with Thought Monitor and Thought Cast, and then Kappa Cannoneer is also just a really, really strong threat. So kind of got tunnel visioned by it, so hopefully that doesn't come up in other games. But great match to Hadel. The deck's definitely sweet. One of the more powerful things that I think is underexplored in VV. So good games to him, and we'll see how we can fare in the rest of our games. All right, we have a match against Clamilton. So Clam, last time that we had played him, was playing a blue-black victimized kind of scam list. This hand is good. It is a little awkward because if our Ornithopter does get tagged, we don't have the blue mana for these, but We are on, excuse me, we are on the draw, so there is a chance that we are able to just naturally draw a blue source or another creature. There it is. So we will go Seat into Springleaf, and I'm not going to cast this Ornithopter just because I don't want it to be susceptible to removal. So we'll wait until next turn. We'll still be able to use it with the Springleaf Drum. So we got Island. I'm wondering, is this High Tide? Maybe it's Flash. Okay, so they passed. So, all right, so we are going to start with an Ornithopter. Okay, that resolved. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Before we do anything, we're going to try to just cast this Thoughtcast. I'm sensing that there's, yeah, okay, so there's a Romance. That's not terrible, actually, so I think we just run it back. All right, then we will pay. I forgot we have to do it in like an odd order. So a bit, not really a slow start. I mean, it's kind of awkward because next turn we'll have to spend some resources getting these Kappa Cannoneers in play. But okay, this looks like High Tide, so all right, so I want to play the Citadel so that way I can start off with this Thought Monitor, because I think we just need to try to get a critical mass of artifacts in play to get these Cannoneers down. Man, it kind of sucks that we're drawing all these lands. So unfortunately, there is a chance this gets remanded. Oh wait, I can't even cast the Cannoneer because we need the blue for it. So what an odd spot to be in. Because 1, 2, yeah. All right, well, we'll get in for 1. We may just be having a turn deducing how dead we are. Yeah, we still getting a little bit of MTGO lag even after the update, but yep. So a High Tide plus a Sapphire Medallion is pretty bad for us. Really good chance that, especially with the gifts ungiven, that we're just dead here. But we can look to see exactly what they have. Just to highlight, we have 18 lanes in the deck. We have 7 of them right now. So we have flooded out a decent bit. Piles are probably something along the lines of, okay. All right, choose 2 cards. So these are the cards that they're going to get. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, 2 go to the graveyard. So I think I want them to... I'm going to let them have the Mind's Desire. The Turnabout, they have enough for the Turnabout. Oh, that's really tough. It's probably... we actually probably put these in the graveyard. So they have untappers, but and a Frantic Search, but I think the Mind's Desire is too strong to give them, and the Turnabout's going to give them too much mana. Maybe it was Snap Turnabout, just because they see less cards with Frantic Search. We'll show the graveyard to see what's going on. Okay, so they're on Trade Secrets. I think that card's really good. I don't see it in every High Tide list, but... We'll actually F6 here. We have nothing to do. We can just watch the combo turn. Alright, so Flood of Recollection to pick up the Mind's Desire, yeah. Okay, so this flood is not exiled with the Mind's Desire, but so they have a Turnabout, they can untap, they have Cunning Wish available, they also have Blue Tree. Ugh. We do luckily have the Spell Piercers and the Duress for this matchup, so it'll allow us to interact a little bit. Alright, Turnabout. I don't know if there's actually any sideboard cards that they have for this deck either, just because they're mono blue. There might be like Rebuild, but they're on Cunning Wishes, so that definitely eats some of the sideboard up. Cunning Wish. Turnabout, okay. So I got one card left. I don't know if I... Maybe it's another Cunning Wish. It's getting like a ton of mana with these Turnabouts. I have a feeling that the last card is like either a Cunning Wish or a Blue Sun Zenith. Okay, so it's going to be Cunning Wish for what should be Blue Sun Zenith. They make us draw our deck. Oh, Drowning Dreams. Okay, yeah, so they're going to make us draw our deck. And then we will die. Look at them go. You got this far. I'm going to let him cast it. And he milled us. Now he gets to see our deck. Alright, yeah, he got it. Alright, now sideboard. We want these Spell Pierces. We want these Duresses. We don't want Etch Champion, and we don't want Soul Guide Lantern. There is some graveyard stuff going on, but it's not something we really want to slow that down for. I'm actually going to take out these Kappa Cannoneers. The main reason for that is I don't think we can afford to tap down our resources, and there shouldn't really be a whole lot of blockers. I think we just want to see more cards with things like Thought Monitor and Thoughtcast, just to have access to more go wide and more interaction. With the last 4 cards, Familiar's not terrible because it will tag a card. So between Duress and Familiar, we kind of have a little bit of discard going. I don't like this Vault Scourge. We don't really need that. Maybe it's Companion. This feels like a lot of threats to take out. So what does this look like? This leaves us with 21 creatures. He does have things like Snap, but... We're going to try this. We'll run with this. We will go first. This hand is very close, but we can't cast this Terramander off this Citadel. I think there's an argument if this is a Seed of the Synod, but this hand's near unplayable, so we're going to mulligan. This hand is better. We're going to keep it. What to bottom is the question. So I think I almost want to bottom the Duress. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I want to start getting the threats online. So we'll just do this and pass. Yep. All right, well, we drew the Duress that we bottomed. Just get this cranial plating in play. We can draw a 1 or a 2 drop artifact. We're in a decent spot. Double Frogmite. The Spire's really awkward now. Kind of awkward mana this game. So if we try to nab a card with Familiar right now, next turn we can go Frogmite, Frogmite Duress. And we're at least hitting a card in hand. We're in a really bad spot still, though. Two, three, yeah. So, not unrealistic that we can die here. If they have a high tide, it's really bad for us. Okay, so we're actually going to start this chain with just casting a Frogmite, so that way we don't get blown out by some type of removal spell on the Familiar. So the question here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The question here is, do we Duress or leave up Spell Pierce? I think the Spell Pierce is almost as bad as it could be just in general. So I think we're going to go to combat attack with the Familiar. If he bounces it, we can recast and we still get to take a card. So we will start here. This could get remanded. Test of Talents, okay. I wasn't expecting Test of Talents post board. It does hit Thoughtcast. Okay, Cycle Cloud Affairs. That's actually not too bad. I mean, it either means the hand is juiced or the hand is not good. This looks like the hand was juiced. This is saying you're dead. Yeah, this is a pretty bad scenario for us, so we have to hope that they basically fade double High Tide into Frantic Search. Unlikely, but more unlikely things have happened. this is probably game. So let's see what they hit off the Mind's Desire. Oh no, they're going Frantic Search again, okay. So no, this is the Mind's Desire, so a lot of hits here. I don't know why I think that Mind's Desire is going to be revealed cards. This is so bad. We really needed a Mind's Desire to hit like a critical mass of islands. Just to really like stand a chance. Okay, there's another High Tide. We'll probably see a Lutri on this Treasure Cruise. Return to Frogmite, devastating. Lutri from the top rope. So with 21 floating mana and 7 cards in hand, we need to hope that all of the cards in hand are really bad. I don't think there's been a turnabout yet. Yeah, there's surprisingly not been a turnabout out of this chain. 35 cards deep. There's a couple of the islands. Needed those a little bit earlier on that Mind's Desire. Snap Lutri. Okay, this is kind of cool. So what's happening here is, so Bond of Insight is each player mills 4 cards. Return up to 2 instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Bond of Insight. If you Lutri the Bond, you will get another copy of it, since Lutri copies an instant or sorcery spell you control. So copies it, mills, and then picks up a Snap, which untaps lands. So now what's happening here is Clam's doing the loop where he's going to cast a Lutri, copy Bond. The Bond copy picks up Snap. Snap picks up Lutri, untaps lands, cast a Lutri again to copy the Bond, and it's actually going to mill us out. So even though you could probably try to find a win with like a Blue Sun Zenith or something with Cunning Wish, this is it's basically a mill out at this point. You might be telling me that, like, I don't know if you know you're dead. But yeah, so at this point though, it is a loop. We don't have anything. The hand got kind of slow, so this is going to be a win. I'm going to concede here to Clam. I just wanted to make sure that you guys got to see that. High Tide is very good. It's definitely underplayed. A lot of people like to explore other things, but definitely what we would in the community consider a tier 1 deck. Can do a lot of powerful things. It can do them very fast, but definitely a like tier 1 contender. So at this point, I'm not going to force him to keep doing it. I am going to concede, but yeah, tough match. I think we had some really poor draws there to start, but I think Clam piloted that pretty well in both games. So kudos to him. But we'll look to try to rebound in a separate match against something that we can draw a little bit better against. So GG's the Clam, sweet showing of High Tide. All right, so this match I'm against my personal friend Devin. Devin got into Value Vintage playing Abzan, and then he's now typically on Rhinos, so that's what I'm expecting. This hand is really close, but only having the one land and not really a split point here between the Frogmite and the Pteramander, I don't think we can keep it, so we'll mulligan. This hand is much better. We're going to keep... I have to think here what we're going to put on the bottom. It might actually be this Pteramander just because we don't have the black source, so I think it's going to be the Pteramander. We'll do that. So we'll be able to... We can play Cranial. We won't be able to play Frogmite unless we draw like an Ornithopter. So he went Game Trail, so there's a really good chance that this is just Rhinos. Yeah, so it's incubate. He's doing incubation incongruity. So finds a Caves of Chaos. So this is definitely Rhinos. So once again, a bit of a slow start, but next turn we'll be able to play the best situation. I think is we draw a cheap artifact, even if it's just like a Ornithopter or another Frogmite, so we can kind of chain some spells into the Thoughtcaster or the Thought Monitor. That's the best situation here. So looks like we're getting Rhinos here. I know he's going for the Caves of Chaos. Okay, that's actually interesting because we can combat the initiative pretty well here. We have a lot of flyers. We can go pretty wide. So the Rhinos are harder to beat, but initiative we can actually fight for. So another Thoughtcast is not where we want to be. We'll play the Frogmites. We'll go Thoughtcast. Man, this is not panning out. I think we end up, I mean, if we have one more card, even if it's just another land or a cheap artifact, we're not in that bad of a spot. But we're really getting punished by drawing a lot of top end. Yep. He might have wanted to, yeah, so he might have wanted to wait on doing the stomp because it does have trample. Because right there he would have been able to trample over, cast the Shardless, and get a couple of Rhinos. We're going to start with the Soul Ring. Alright, so we have 4 artifacts. So this Thoughtcast costs 1. This Thought Monitor costs 3. So we could cast the Thought Monitor. I feel like I want to see I feel like I want to leave up this Soul Ring mana. But if I leave up the Soul Ring mana, then I can't really do anything with it. It's probably just correct the Thought Monitor here. There's a chance we just draw nothing with the Thought Monitor draw that we can cast with the Soul Ring. Alright, Mistfall Bridge. Unfortunately, that comes in tapped. So we're going to lose 5 and go to 8. He'll attack us down to 7. For 7, go to 1. A Vault Scourge off the top is pretty huge here. We only have the 1. But it would basically have us live through any attacks. We're not gaining anything by blocking other than soaking up 2 damage. I don't think that matters much at this point. He probably has the... Oh, no, okay, he has fire. Alright, so he's got it. It's a bit unfortunate. We just needed like a couple. We really needed like 1 to 2 more cards there. I am going to bring in these Edge Champions because they can attack in, and then we're going to bring in these Spell Pierces just for the Rhinos. We're going to take out these Familiars because they are not good into Rhinos. What else do we want? Kappa Cannoneer outgrows the Rhinos. Companion trades. It's probably some of these Thought Monitors. They combat the initiative pretty decent, but so does Etch Champion. I think it's better than... I think Thoughtcast is better than Thought Monitor here. Because Thought Monitor is really only good here for battling the initiative. It's really bad against the Rhinos plan. So we'll go for the cheaper of the options here. Hopefully a better 7. We will go first. Ugh, this is so ugly. It's really unfortunate too, because like we could cycle this companion to get the blue mana, but this hand just doesn't do enough early, so we're gonna mulligan. This hand is fine. I think we're actually putting this companion on the bottom. So we'll do this. So if we go 1, 2, 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we'll be able to Thoughtcast this turn. Alright, so it's a decent hand. I mean, we have a lot of we already have a lot of artifacts for this cranial plating. A land would be huge here. An untapped land, that is. Right, pretty big. So now, do we gain anything by doing the Springleaf? I think the plan here, we can just go cranial plating, equip, and just start putting pressure on it. And the next turn, we can start doing some more stuff here. So we will tap, equip here. The nice part here too is like if he suspended a Footfalls. If he goes for an initiative play here, if that's what his hand panned out as, we threaten it pretty well with the flyers. Second cranial plating. Okay, that's interesting. I think no matter what, though, we're going to start with this Thoughtcast. We're going to see what we can draw. Alright, so Vault is interesting. I don't think this Springleaf Drum does much. I think the best plan is to... It doesn't really change the math too much to play cranial plating. What we can do is go to combat. If he does have ice or... he probably goes for fire there. I still think we go to combat so we can attempt to move around the cranial plating. If he does end up killing the Ornithopter... okay, so yeah, if he does end up killing the Ornithopter here, we can move it to this one on our turn with Springleaf Drum. So he's exiling Spirit Guide. Okay. So this isn't the worst for us. Now we can go play this. And then do this. So now this Ornithopter should be lethal. Depending on what they do. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we have second Ornithopter. Okay, so we're going to cast this Ornithopter. We'll equip this cranial plating to the Ornithopter. And then it... Actually, no, it should be enough. So we'll equip this one to the Ornithopter as well. And then we have 2 mana that we can move one of these to the Frog Lizard. Actually, we should play this. Okay, no, we got it. Nice. He didn't have anything, so... he had a bit of a slower hand there, which was good for us. I don't think we want to change anything. I think what we have is good. So we'll just resubmit. Rhinos is a very powerful deck. It gets the initiative cards, and it can threaten a very early turn. This hand is kind of awkward. We do have both colors. We have a Spell Pierce. I am going to keep. I'm probably not turn 1ing the Soul Ring. I know that sounds crazy, but there's a chance he could go for a turn 2 Rhinos, and I want access to Spell Pierce to pay for that. Yeah, especially if... Okay, he's doing it now. Yeah, there's a chance with the 8 Spirit guys that he's able to go for the Rhinos on turn 2, and I want to make sure that we have access for that. So we will play the Seed of Synod and just pass the turn. So next turn we can do something like Soul Ring in the Vault Scourge and still leave up the Spell Pierce. We basically just want to get to a point where we're not exposing ourselves to Rhinos. So at this point, we'll just play Citadel, Soul Ring. We'll go Vault Scourge, pay 2. So we're going to float 1 mana. It is a little unfortunate we don't have anything to do. We just want to make sure that we can... Yes, it looks like he's going for it now. So he has the Cascade. Now we're going to Spell Pierce the Crashing Footfalls. So we're actually pretty good on this exchange. To use some Spirit Guides there. We have 3 lands in hand, but we have a Thought Cast to his 3. So this may be a Shardless or another Outburst. Okay, it's a Laelia. All right, so we do have to be aware of this thing. We don't really have a way to answer it, just because we don't have removal, but if we draw Cranial Plating, this Vault Scourge is, like, really good at racing, so... Alright, so we're just going to start, before we end up playing any lands, we're just going to Thoughtcast. Alright, there's the Cranial Platings, that's good. We'll start with a Vault. Artifact count is 5. We will play the Cranial Plating. So that's 6. So what we can do is play the Companion. And then we can equip here. What's really good about this here is that we have a blocker for the Laelia. So if he tries to do any suspend stuff, we can at least just chump it. And we might be able to next turn, if we draw another artifact, we might be able to get enough. I don't think we care. We still probably just block here. There is a chance he could have like something like fire, or no, he would have cast it if he had it to get rid of my blocker. Oh, he did just exile that. Okay, so he's probably doing this before blocks, tapping my guy. Or at least considering it. Yeah, okay, so he's tanking for a bit. I'm going to just try to block. GG, a little laggy right now. So he can kill the Vault Scourge now with that Fire and Exile. So we're still not in a bad spot if that's the play he goes with, because we have the Kappa Cannon here. Okay, so he has Shardless. Was I wrong? I feel like he had... So... Puts triggered ability, puts a counter. What was exiled? I feel like that Fire Ice was exiled. So if we draw a cheap artifact off the top, we do have lethal. So like Ornithopter here. Oh, dude, the called shot. Let's go. So we'll cast this. Grows. Gets up to 10. Swinging for 10 in the air. Crazy. Nice. That was awesome. So the starting hands have been looking a little questionable, but it just shows that there's a lot of strength in the divination effects with Thought Monitor and Thoughtcast. That starting hand we had was literally just like some Ornithopters and Thoughtcast that game with the Springleaf Drum, but just being able to refill after dumping the hand, you know, your cranial platings get online super strong and super quick. There's a lot of strong things you can do. Rhinos is definitely a powerful deck. We saw that with the starting hands it had. Fortunately, we did have the Spell Pierce, but he did have an early Rhinos that third game. Luckily, the Spell Pierce was able to stop it. But if we don't have the Spell Pierce there, I don't think there's any way that, you know, we can try to race. Our Vault Scourge was just going to be getting exactly what he was hitting us with. So really, really close games, I think. I think we really showed the power of Affinity in Game 3 there. But good games to Devin. I'm proud to say that I'm 1-0 against him for the YouTube. So he's got a lot of work to do. But he knows he'll get there. But we'll get back with it in the next match. All right, now we have a match against Benvi. Benvi is the pilot of the 5-color humans list that's pretty popular. So that's what I imagine that they're doing. Being on the draw, this hand is really close, since I'm assuming they're going to be on humans. I'm going to keep, just because any 0 or 1 drop really gets us a fast start here into this Thought Monitor. Looks like they mulliganed. Yep, so this is definitely humans. I'm not sure what to be worried about in game 1. I think they're just going to try to amass a big board against us. So another seat isn't really what we want, but that's all right. So any 0-1 drip off the top is really good. Sets us up for a strong turn 2. Okay, Thalia. We don't care about Thalia too much. Really at all, I would say. Right, Citadel's not what we want. It's a little bit of a disappointing turn 2, but next turn we can really start going off. So we'll have Affinity for 5, can Thought Monitor. into Companion, ideally. We'll also have enough artifacts in play if we do draw a Thought Cast that it should be 1 mana even into the Thalia. We just want to take this damage. We don't want to lower our affinity count at all. Interesting, no play. So we'll start with this for sure, because this is free. Now we'll go for the Thought Monitor. Just tapping our Frogmite, yep. It might have been correct there to cycle this for a black source with to get these refurbished familiars online. Excuse me. But we're outsizing the board right now. We have a lot of live draws. There's, I want to say, 10 lands in the deck that allow us to cast this familiar. Plus we have the Springleaf Drums. Is this a soldier? Okay, he's a peasant. So he will not get buffed by Beachhead. I know that they mulligan, but I'm curious on what Benvy's hand is. Because a pod here with Pyre of Heroes would be really good. So, not the best draw. So this is probably tapping a companion. Yep. So I think at this point, I think we have a critical mass of artifacts that we're just going to swing with everything. So he should eat a Frogmite here. They'll take 8 down to 12. Funny enough, this Ornithopter at this point is probably the worst draw we could have, other than like an additional seat. Okay, they have a Swords. This is actually panning out like the black source may have mattered. Depending on what they play, though, we can consistently keep the companion or the giant killer tapped by tapping our companion, getting for 2 in the air, so we kind of win that race. The Thalia won't really be able to attack if they're worried about taking the chip damage from the Frogmite. So it's an interesting game. They're probably looking at my hand thinking, what are we not playing that we're holding up? Because as of right now, we're not even showing that we have a second color. Okay, that was a good draw. So we'll move to combat. We'll get our companion tapped. Yep. We'll tap for 2 in the air. They might have another Swords. Okay, maybe not. So this is where this is going to get a little bit more interesting. Because we're going to be adding more flyers into the mix. So we're going to be able to race a little bit better. And we're also going to nab the last couple cards in their hand. I think we're in a really good spot. I think that a top-decked Pyre could start creating some problems for us, but it looks like they're flooding out a little bit to our benefit. Okay, they discarded a Jolly Balloon Man, so it's kind of like a Kiki Jiki that makes 1/1s instead. It is a human. Oh, that's interesting. Human Clown. I wonder if that's the first clown type in Magic outside of like unsets. It was probably in an unset. So this next turn, this taps the companion. We get 4 in the air, play another familiar. If we draw another like Vault or a Spire, that's actually pretty decent just because we'll be able to play both of them. Present a couple more flyers into the board. We've managed to basically, like, we had a pretty weak turn 1 and turn 2, obviously, but the rest of the curve of the deck has been pretty solid. Dallas U10 is a pretty good draw. So I think we're definitely still in this race, I would say. We just have to watch for like any kind of flicker effects or I think no, Reflector Mage only bounces my thing, so alright, so we're gonna start this off into combat. Companion should get tapped here. Yeah, Benvey had actually won the first Star City, I think it was a 1K or a 2K for Value Vintage with the humans list here, so looks like they might not be tapping down my guy. Yep. So we'll just send these ones in the air. The nice part about this frog, my never being able to attack, is that he's also going to be able to block forever. Forever as in once into the Thalia. Okay, we grab the swords. Oh, it costs 2. Duh. So still don't have lethal next turn. We do have 6 damage flying though. So the nice part is we'll be able to cycle this familiar if they do play the card in their hand. And if they don't play the card in their hand, then we're still in a good spot because we have so much flying pressure. Okay, so Meddling Mage. Probably Cranial Plating if I had to guess. Yeah, there's main deck Meddling Mages because the deck does play Pyre of Heroes. So against something like High Tide or even Crashing Footfalls, Rhinos, being able to pod for Mage, then it can't be responded to if you pod it out. It is something that's super powerful. So, okay, Metallic Rebuke. So we actually don't have any of those in our 75. So that's good for us. I think at some point, like I would probably consider their attacking with this Thalia, because you need to try to start pressuring. We're going to start with this familiar to see what we can redraw. The main reason that we're doing is because we'll get to draw the card off of it. So we might draw like a Cranial Plating or something here. Okay, there's the Spire we were talking about. So we'll move the combat here. It's going to tap Companion. So this is 6 in the air. Play Frogmite for free, and then we will just pass the turn. So now we have a creature to block each of theirs while still having enough pressure on the backswing to kill, so we need a really strong top deck here. I'm not even sure what it could be. I know you could do like Pyre into Pyre. That would tap them down on all their mana. You could only find a 3 or a 2 drop, and you could find something like Reflector Mage. I don't think they have Deputy at Attention just because it's not a human. Yeah, so that's a got the win game one there. We'll go to sideboard here. So for that, I think the only thing we're going to bring in are these Edge Champions. The rest misses a lot, and so does Spell Pierce, and we don't really care about their graveyard that much. There is some Extraction Specialist things they can do, and I believe it's Alesha, the new one from Foundations, but I don't think that we want to be bogging down our deck with the Soul Guide Lanterns. I think we just want to try to focus on putting as much pressure on them as we can. And I think that, let's see this game here. These Frogmites are kind of weak, but they like kind of bridge the gap into this midpoint. So I think it's 2 Familiars and a Frogmite. And then we'll see how that looks. And then maybe game 2 we actually cut some more Frogmites. But I think this is where we want to be at. I know from a prior event when I was playing a Boros prison list with Solitary Confinement and Squee, they had brought in there's 2 different naturalized humans. The one is Cathar Commando, which has Flash. You could pay 1 to sacrifice it and destroy an artifact or enchantment. And the other one I believe is Westfold Rider, where it's a 3/1 for 2 that just has a sacrifice, destroy target artifact or enchantment. But so the big deal there is that Commando has Flash, but you have to spend a mana to get the destroy effect. So I would expect whatever number of those they have that they're bringing them in. Outside of that, I'm not sure. Maybe they don't have the full 4 set of Reflector Mages, but we'll see. I doubt we'll see anything like Meltdowns or anything like that. Okay, so we're on the draw. This is a little bit awkward because we can't cast this Terramander yet. So the Springleaf Drum isn't online yet. And in the same vein, we don't have a way to use this for mana because we don't have a 1-drop. I think this is still a keep because there's a lot of good 1s and 2s. We can draw, even if we draw one of those Frogmites, we just go 1/2, turn 2 land, Frogmite, Terramander, Thoughtcast. So alright, there's another Thoughtcast, so we'll go here into here. So we have the ability to draw a lot of cards really soon. I think there's even a world where, depending on our draw, we just cycle this companion for the black source of this game. Because we have so much redraw with Thoughtcast and Thought Monitor. This is really like a second blue, as long as we have creatures. So we have a lot of hits. We have a lot of draws. We just need to be able to cast our draw effects. So this would be an instance where a Thali here would actually slow us down at a pretty decent rate. Alright, so there's the Rider. We might get our Springleaf Drum hit here. Yep, that's fine. Okay, we have a Frogmite. So in this case, I almost want to cycle for the Indestructible Land. The main reason I want to do that is there may be a world here where they go Extraction Specialist, bring this back, blow up a land. So I think that that's the route we're going to go. We'll just take kind of a turn off here just to make sure that we can hit that artifact land. The Naturalize there was really good, though, because we would have had Springleaf Drum, could have played Frogmite for 1, tapped it for the Terramander. Then we have 2 mana up. We have Affinity, Affinity 5. Can go Thoughtcast and the Thoughtcast. Okay, that's not that bad. Okay. So they're low on cards in hand, so this is them starting to do the beatdown. This Absence Pilgrim is probably hitting us for 2. So since that happened, I actually think we're going to cycle this just for... I don't think we want to play the tapped land. Well, if we play the tapped land, let's think this out. We play the tapped land. If we draw an artifact land, this Frogmite's free. If not, we go Frogmite into, we have 1/2, the tap land, the Frogmite. Can we go Thoughtcast? But that's all we're doing. I think we find the Vault of Whispers, and then if they have the play where they can blow up our lands, then we're just in a bad spot. Okay, that's a great draw. So we'll start off with this Terramander. We know we're casting that. We're casting this Frogmite. Springleaf Drum. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could play this Thought Monitor. We'll start here. Okay, now we drew a Cranial Plating. So I think we're just going off with this Thoughtcast now. Can play this for free. So it's a pretty okay turn. So if you think about it, our exact last turn there was Darksteel Citadel, Seed of Sign-On, we passed. And now our turn 3, we're up on a lot on the board. This Terramander will get to become a 5/5 next turn as long as it's still in play. We have a Cranial Plating, a Thoughtcast, a Kappa Cannoneer. This is probably bouncing the Thought Monitor. Oh, it's bouncing the Companion. Okay. So we'll have to do some math for this next turn. I think we're still casting this Thoughtcast. But it's I feel like we're getting this Cranial Plating also in play and hitting for a bunch. What's also nice is as long as we have another creature in play, we'll always have access to the instant speed equip. So that's a good spot to be. This Kappa Cannoneer is really good in this matchup, but I almost think we won't have time to utilize it. Just because we don't want to be tapping down our guys. We have a lot of other action we can do. And it's just the board is too clogged at this point. So we're going to cast this Thought Monitor, because that still leaves us with the ability to Cranial Plating and equip this turn. Can we draw a land? Okay, we got a seat. We won't be able to cast that, so we need 3 mana for Cranial Plating, so we could Thoughtcast again. I think the better line is going to be let's cast this. So they're F6 too, so that shows that they probably don't have anything for this, so we'll Terramander now. I actually want to put the Cranial Plating here. The main reason I want to do that is if they do have a Swords, the Terramander's better on its own because it can grow to the 5/5 next turn. Still a little bit of MTGO lag. Alright, and then we will tap this Terramander because we don't want to block with it in any world. We could have adapted the Terramander instead of playing this one, but it doesn't kill them, and then this actually lets us adapt both of these next turn if we need to. Like, let's say they blow up the Cranial Plating. They have to now blow up multiple threats. So it's less damage right now, but it's more assured damage this next turn. Okay, so probably looking for another Westfold Rider. Maybe they have a land and then they have Cathar Commando. If you think about the way that their board looks this game, all right, so that is the match. So if you think about how this board panned out for them, this is their turn 5. They were able to naturalize a guy, go Mana Dork, 1-drop Valor's Lieutenant Reflector Mage. That's still a really strong start. And we even took the first 2 turns off of ours. And we're able to kind of curve out into this. So really powerful starts, the deck can push out. I think that's the biggest thing with it is how much interaction does your opponent have for what you're doing, because if they're letting you just play your cards, you're killing them very quickly. And with the divination effects, you're also able to rebuild very quickly if they do interact with one or two cards. So GG's to Benvy. They are the humans master of Value Vintage, so I was excited to play against them for one of the videos, but we'll look to see what we can end up at in this last match, so stay tuned. All right, we got our last match. We're against Hadel again. This hand, we're on the draw. I don't think it's good enough. It's very close. There's not a whole lot that can bridge in between to make that hand a lot better. This hand is very solid. I think we're going to put this, just a Citadel on the bottom. I'm going to keep all these threats. I don't believe Hadel's on the balance deck this game. My assumption would be a different Cascade combo, but frankly, I have no idea. It might be this Mastery Crimes list that he's played before, with the cast a free spell that was put into the graveyard this turn. If that's what it is, then we definitely want a more aggressive hand. So with that draw, I think we're actually, it's questionable. I think we want to go Vault, Terramander. Next turn we can go Terramander, Vault Scourge with this. So then we'll pass. Any untapped land in the next two draws would be really good for us. Okay, that's good. So we will do this. We'll start out just attacking for one. We'll go second Terramander and then the Vault Scourge. So next turn we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll have 7 artifacts. It might even just be correct to grow both of these Terramanders instead of getting the Cranial Plating in play, because then they'll both be outsized of something for Bolt. Like something like Bolt, I should say. Because we need 6 other artifacts, so I guess we are a little bit short. So what we could do is Darksteel. We can equip here. So now he has to have a sweeper because we're presenting large bodies across multiple threats next turn. Yeah, I forgot that Terramander doesn't count itself towards its own adapt, so it's kind of awkward right there. Okay, that being untapped is huge. So what we can do is we can just go to combat. This might be like a fire from a Fire Ice. So he has to kill the Vault Scourge here. So he's going to go Bolt, so we'll go to put it on here to move at instant speed. And then if he responds with another Bolt, then we can respond with the Adapt. So we're going to let that happen. So this is still lethal. So he needs to have another spell. So he's going to Bolt here, so now we'll do the Adapt. And then that gets the win. So I think it was a little bit better they're waiting, just because we Uh, we could respond to removal there with the bolts. I'm not actually sure how to board against this deck, because I know it's kind of like a... It's like a graveyard-based combo deck. So, like, I think it does, like, Mizzix Mastery. So maybe we just want Soul Guide Lanterns. I'm not sure that I want the Duresses because he wants to cast spells that are in his yard. Spell Pierces are questionable. This is really tough. Soul Guide Lanterns just might be able to stop enough of what he's doing. These Familiars are going to bin cards for free, so we don't want that. I think it's a matchup where we don't want Kappa Cannoneer, actually. And then maybe we want the Spell Pierces. Cannoneer can get real big really quickly, but it also... we're not getting... The most value we're getting out of it is that's just a big beater. Well, we wanted sideboard cards, so now we have some. I still think I'm keeping this. Any land off the top is really good. Looks like a mulligan. I think something that's really good against us with this hand is like Meltdown, if he has it. I'm not sure if Meltdown's good enough with the Mizzix Mastery stuff. I know that it can be common in sideboards just because of Thopter Sword being popular, but this is the exact start from game 1. Okay, that was a pretty good draw. So we'll go Ornithopter. And then now we can actually do, we can go Thoughtcast and leave up mana for Spell Pierce. Alright, so... we're just going to leave up the Spell Pierce. We could play a Soul Guide, but it won't nab anything. We want to at least try to nab one spell. Just for value. We'll do this. If he has a bolt, then the Spell Pierce is bad. I think since we have so much excess mana at this point, we can cast one of these Soul Guides and just leave it up. So we're doing something here. This looks like a good Spell Pierce target. Gonna hit 2 of our artifacts. We just would prefer if that didn't happen. So Springleaf Drum or a Vault off the top would be good, so we can get this Pteramander in play, and we'll be able to grow him. Ornithopters are good, but they're kind of weak on their own. We won't crack this. We'll just pass. My word. Okay, so... we'll hit his Prismari command. Since we have another Soul Guide in hand, I think we're going to cycle it next turn. Is this another command? We'll cycle this. And so we have Thought Monitor for next turn, so that's a really good draw. He may have drawn a sweeper on his last turn if he's not killing my Vault Scourge, but trying to get a card this time. Yep, Frantic Search. So he's discarding some powerful spells that he's looking to get back. So we don't want to go for the Lantern here because he could cast a Reenact the Crime in response. So we'll just go to our turn. So we're going to start this off with a Thought Monitor. This might be him killing stuff here. Another Prismari command. So I think we're actually going to just draw a card with this because we do have another Soul Guide in hand. Because at 1 mana, he shouldn't be able to do anything. Oh, we could Spell Pierce it now. I think we want to wait on the Spell Pierce because he's just looting now with it. So discarded another Reenact and a Is-a-Charm. Alright, so another Pteramander. Let's go this here. Play another Soul Guide. I think the best card to hit here is probably the Scholar, just because it gets to cast any of one. This is hard. It's probably Augury actually. It's either Augury or Scholar there. He's played 3 Prismari commands. Sorry, 3 Lanterns. The nice part here too is that if he tries to get back one of his Prismari commands or one of his big spells, you know, we'll be able to just keep this Lantern up for a while. The biggest thing that would beat us at this point, I think, is a Sweeper. Okay, Spire is really good. There's that there. Now we will go and cast a Pteramander. So he's got 2 cards in hand. Oh, we need to be mindful that this Spell Pierce is losing stock pretty quickly. It's probably picking up this Temple. Alright, before we do anything, we're going to start out with a Thoughtcast. That's a good draw. So now these Ornithopters have gotten some value, because what we'll be able to do now is move this Cranial Plating at instant speed. So I want to leave up this Spire. We can try to go for it now. We'll equip to... This Thought Monitor is, I think, the least likely to die out of cards they could have. So we'll swing out. Okay, so that's actually not bad for us, because we'll get a redraw from... Oh, okay, I guess he's just giving us the match, so probably hard to come back from there because we can Move the cranial plating at instant speed now. That might be what he's going to say, misclicked. I'm so bad. It's okay. I think we're still in a good spot there. He can bounce the cranial plating. It's probably just a misclick there. But we still have the lantern up. He bounces the cranial plating. We have spell pierce up. And then next turn, we just continue to kind of go off. So it's good games to Hadel there again. Once again, he's always playing cool spell combos. So always a pleasure to be able to play against him. But glad to have another showing of Affinity that round. To wrap things up, we finished at 4-1 in the league. We lost to High Tide, but beat Rhinos, Mastery Crimes, 5-Color Humans, and Borderpost Balance. The deck has some very powerful hands and is able to present a very powerful board within a turn. We showcased this in a few games where we started with 2 lands and ended the turn with 8 or more permanents in play. We also were able to compete against some of the top contenders for Tier 1 decks in the format. The biggest challenge with the deck is keeping our mana consistent. While we didn't see this with blue mana, black mana was a challenge, despite it having less color pips in the deck and the same amount of mana producing lands as blue. Something like Glimmervoid would be an excellent fit if the price comes down a little bit more. If you enjoyed the deck and are considering building it, there are also other avenues you could take the list. There is another Affinity list going around that is blue-white with cards like Dispatch. White also gets very strong sideboard options, which are very cheap, like Rest in Peace. Red also offers some strong options. Shrapnel Blast is a cheap burn spell that converts your Ornithopters into real damage, and the recently printed Imskur Iron Eater allows non-blue variants to refill their hand to turn into damage later. If you liked the video or have something you wanted to share about the league, the recording, or the gameplay, please let me know below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.